Hey girls, welcome back to our Girls Inc. YouTube channel. Today we are going to be making apple chips. You are only going to need a few simple ingredients, so let's go and get started. The first ingredient you are going to need is cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of my favorite ingredients and it's very good for you. Cinnamon is filled with powerful antioxidants that can keep you healthy. Next, we need to grab the main ingredient, which is apples. Apples are in season right now, and I got mine from a local farmer's market. You are also going to need a sheet pan, parchment paper, and a mandolin slicer. You can also use a knife and a cutting board, but before you grab your slicer or a knife, please ask an adult for help because they are very sharp. Next, we are going to preheat our oven to 200 degrees. The low temperature will dehydrate the apples and make them nice and crispy. Then we are going to wash our hands and our apples. It is very important to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds to get rid of all the germs. Did you know that washing your hands is the best defense against infections? After our apples are clean, we are going to line our baking sheet with parchment paper. My parchment paper was running low, but I had just enough for our apple chips. Next, we are going to slice our apples. Be very careful with this step and make sure to ask an adult for help before you start slicing. I am using a mandolin slicer, which will help me get perfect, even, thin slices. Don't forget to grab a bowl to put underneath your slicer so you can catch the apples. It is also important to cut the end off of your apple so you can start with a flat surface so that it doesn't roll away. Once your apples are all nice and sliced like this, you are going to line them on your baking sheet. Once the apples are lined up, we need to cut the middles out of the apples. I love to bake, so I have lots of baking supplies. I use a round end of a metal piping tip to take out the center. If you have an apple core, you can also do this step before you start slicing your apples. Make sure that the apple core just takes out the middle of the apple and does not make slices like the red one I have next to my piping tip. Once all the middles are cut out of your apples, they should look like this. Then, grab your cinnamon and sprinkle as much as you'd like over the apples. Then, place your apples in the oven and set your timer for 1 hour. To prevent your leftover apple slices from browning, you can cut up a lemon and squeeze the lemon juice on top of them. Lemons contain citric acid, and the citric acid prevents the apples from oxidizing, which turns the apples brown. I still had some time before my apple chips were ready, so I cleaned up my dishes and I played with my cat Chester. This is his favorite toy and he loves to play catch. After Chester and I played a successful game of catch, my timer went off. When I went to check my apples, I noticed that they were still a little bit floppy, so I put them back in the oven for 30 more minutes. Now, this is where things get a little interesting because while I waited for my apple chips to finish, I went outside to enjoy the nice fall weather. But I lost track of time and as you can see, I burned the apple chips. Instead of throwing them away, I decided to let them cool and put them in a bowl to give them a try.
So unfortunately, I burned the apple chips, but I think we can still save these. I think maybe if we get some peanut butter, we could probably make these taste good. I mean, they're not too bad. Some of them are definitely very, very burned, but some are a little less burned, like this one, and it's still pretty crispy, if you can hear. So, I'm gonna go grab some peanut butter and we'll try these out.
This is my favorite peanut butter. I feel like Nutella would be good on this, almond butter, sunflower butter. So, I'm going to grab a knife, my peanut butter, and I'm going to try and find an apple chip that is not too burned. Let's see, I think this one looks pretty good. Right there. So, I'm gonna take this, my knife, my peanut butter is right down here, and I'm gonna put a little bit of peanut butter onto the apple chip. Oop, it is falling apart, but that is okay. Still looks good. All right, and I'm going to try it out. It's not too bad. I feel like if they weren't burnt, they would definitely taste a lot better, but we're working with what we have. I don't have any more apples left. This is what I have. This is a very, very good lesson to always pay attention to your timer. One, because it's not safe not to listen to your timer. And two, you could burn your apple chips. But overall, these are really fun to make. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and stay on the lookout for those emails that Danielle and I are going to be sending out. And thank you for watching. Send us your photos of your apple chips and stay tuned for another video next week. Bye!